Rad. You guys got me.
Yeah, yeah. Now we're being watched.
This is a humbling way for me to start this podcast. Do you understand?
Hey, I get it, man. I've started a podcast before too, and ran it for a year, and I know these hoops that you got to go through.
I mean, you may honestly becoming the unofficial. Well, like we'd work out something to be the official producer of the Make Space Pod. But so part of where this comes from is that, like, so the way I found my way into running Moon is that I'm a documentary filmmaker that became a like manufactured goods operator. And I think one of my skills is I've been like trying to make sense of that in the last couple of years. I've realized like one of the things I'm good at is like I am good in conversation, and I've realized like I like to kind of follow a story in like a certain way.
Hmm.
And that's kind of part of what's made all this RV industry stuff fun is I've treated it like a documentary. Like I've kind of gone into it trying to be like, okay, what is Elkhart, Indiana? Like how does this industry work? Who should I know? And um yeah, and then Evan, we connected because I spend time I spend a lot of time on vehicle product Instagram, I guess is what you would call it. And I came across Brio, and I like honestly like my first thought when I saw it, and I think this is the reason that you guys are already like have it. I think this is already being reflected to you, but like you guys have made something that like just like should exist. And I think Evan, as we get into your story, I think there's I think there's like genuine inspiration, and like a lot of thought has kind of gone into how you guys have gone into this. And so yeah, I think that as I've been on the very front end of this podcast journey and thinking about what it's going to be, which I ultimately think will be sort of talking to people connected to the nomad space, which is kind of where we come from. And part of that is like the industry of people trying to innovate like with product for them. A lot of that is telling their story, which we've done as a brand historically. And it definitely feels like what the first season is probably going to end up being is like just talking about the last 5 years of Moon and kind of how we got here. And as all of this was happening, I came across Brio, and I just the sense that I get from like kind of what you guys are putting out in the world is that what you're doing comes from like a really authentic place, and like Brio is the dream, and there's more to it than just being entrepreneurs. And why I feel so connected to that is like that is what Moon was. And we started with a Kickstarter. And I think that, part of what I'm hoping this can be is like for any, like Loui, like Evan knows this, but I'm an open book. And so I think that there's no like boundaries to where this conversation can go. And I think that I do think practically as a business, I think Moon has kind of done the things that like are ideal for a company like in your situation. And I don't know how much of that we like earned necessarily. I feel like a lot of this just like happens to you. And that kind of already seems to be where you guys are. So all that being said, to finally jump in and dive in, I think the first big question is basically how did you guys get here? And you can kind of answer that however you want. And I think the hope for this is that like everyone can kind of if someone says something that people want to hear more of, they can just go, hey, wait, Loui, like tell me more about that. Evan, tell me more about that. Like you guys can do that as founders. We'll kind of just see how it goes and see how it flows. But that's the setup.
Cool, man. Well, thank you. And I guess we're rolling into this, eh? Um, that was a great intro, and thanks for the kind words that you shared. And yeah, it resonated in what you were sharing, and I could see Louis smiling a bit too. So I think both of us were like, ah, yeah, you're right. It's coming from the heart, and so thanks for acknowledging that. And uh, how we got here, that's a big story, big journey for each of us in different ways. And um, yeah, do you want to hear about our individual journeys to Brio? Do you want to hear about the
Well,
collective?
yeah, why don't we talk about the most immediate thing first, which is like Tibrio, like what it is, why you've made it, what that looks like, like how did you guys find yourselves doing what you're doing now? And just in that, I think naturally kind of what you guys are doing now will come out. So yeah, maybe um who called who first with Brio? Maybe that's the way we get into this.
Cool. Yeah. So that started with myself calling our other co-founder. Actually, we were hanging out. His name's Colin Angus, and yeah, he couldn't be on the call. He's at the bank, unfortunately. But
Hate that for him.
I know he hates it for him too. And yeah, we were both in a place where we wanted to create something of our own, and have had both worked for startup companies, and knew we had that drive to create within us. And um, just I won't get into the inspiration for Brio in particular, but we're both in that place. Unless you want me to, Henry.
We can get there. We'll get there. That'll obviously. That's I think cool part. But
Yeah.
no, I would love because I mean part of it is so when you say startup culture, is this like VC like how like I come from startup culture, but can mean a lot of different things. That
Yeah,
could
yeah,
mean like the dudes in a co-working space together, all with companies. That can mean the VC backed thing. Like what's the shape of that world for y'all?
yeah. Cool, good question. Louis, do you want to? Louis also has come from a startup world as well, and so Louis, do
Yeah.
you want to? Maybe I'll add first. Like, I called Colin. Colin and I chatted for a while. We knew Louis had the technical expertise to help us with this, and so we went for beers with Louis. And Louis got super excited and was the one who first said, like, "Oh, you guys should do this on Kickstarter." And
Mm,
so it was his inspiration there. Um, and yeah, a few months later, we all found ourselves jobless and ready to maybe the universe incentivizing us to go in it together.
got
And
it.
yeah. So uh,
So pushed into the jump a little bit, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
certainly, yeah.
Yeah. I think we were nearing the cliff. We're like, hey, this looks pretty fun. This looks good. It'd be fun to
Well,
try this out ourselves. And
so
then
Louis, oh, sorry, I cut you off. You going?
no, but yeah, I mean, I think we're circling around the same idea of just like, hey, this is super exciting. Um, but yeah, like what's gonna get us in there? Some idea has to be big enough, fun enough to get us to step out of this cushy, corporate culture, corporate
Well,
job.
and Louis, what did that look like for you? Like what industry were you working in? Like what was the shape of that when the Brio idea sort of came into your life?
Yeah, right. So I was working with actually Evan and I worked together at our last gig, and that was the startup company that our dads founded together. And so we got to see, from A to Z, like this whole, super cool, idea come to, investors, come to huge board of directors, big company, plants, rapid growth,
Got it.
super exciting kind of environment. Evan's dad had a great, vision for the thing. And so I think we caught on to that, like that, the idea of like, yeah, creating something. And we've always wanted to do it for ourselves. And so I think
That
when,
it's in
yeah,
Oh, I was just saying it's interesting because Matthew, who's my co-founder, he worked at Airbnb and then Robinhood. And so that was like sort of what allowed the capital. That's like how we funded Moon, essentially. And not essentially, that's exactly how we funded it. But it started as like a little niche, Matthew's side project. So then when COVID hit, he was like very committed to what we were doing. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to have the experience of seeing someone do it, like seeing it modeled for you maybe allows you to kind of see yourself in it. Did that feel true for you guys in that in the season previous to this maybe?
Yeah, I think it took on like a very different form. That was very like macro. We were in multiple countries and took on like 500 employees or something. But here we're like, hey, let's nail this product because it's something that we can see ourselves using, and it kind of ties all in. But yeah, I think it's something that we wanted to just take on ourselves and go through the journey, do all the learning and growing and developing ourselves. And so I think having seen that is really helpful, but it's certainly not the whole picture. You really, it's like riding a bike. You can read all about it, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd add to that. I think what I took away from the last company Loui and I worked at, one thing at least, is like, because our dads, they're at the time, they're at the pinnacle of their careers and bringing on some incredible teammates and leaders to build this. It was like a sustainable construction solution. And so Loui was working in the R&D team, working with materials and manufacturing processes and so on. And I was more on like first business development and then people development. And but one thing that I found or heard often from these leaders, again, who are established in their careers and not their first kick of the can, but hearing them say like, we still have no idea what we're doing is like such a like realization that no matter what stage you're at, it's always a new journey when it's entrepreneurial. And even if you're seasoned in your career, so I think that was incentive for me to be like, okay, even if even these guys, with their long-standing careers are still saying they're trying to figure it out and build the plane as it's flying, means that
Oh
we're
man,
the same thing,
yeah, it
no matter
never
what.
ends.
Yeah.
I'm on this Slack thread with my business partner Brett, who you guys will undoubtedly meet at some point. But I just and Slack, there can be like translation loss and stuff, but I have like never felt more aligned like with a business partner in my entire career. And even we have just like big miscommunications, and it's always like just your own stuff. For me, like yeah, we can get into my stuff later, but I guess how is the itch scratching going so far? I guess would be the question.
Yeah.
yeah.
Louis, do you want to go for it?
No, you got this.
Cool. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's uh it's doing it, man. Like um there's been moments where I've felt like, oh, this is like exactly what I want to be doing. This is so cool. I'm so excited. Like when we first got the prototype from our manufacturer, and Louis, Colin, and I were basically just sitting around looking at it and moving it here and tweaking it there and contemplating this and that and just spending like hours just talking it through. It was like, there was this moment, it's like, this like is so cool. I'm so happy to be here at this moment. And so yeah, I think it is scratching the itch. It doesn't go without it's miscommunications and stress, and we could get into that side of things too, but it feels aligned, it feels right.
Yeah, Louis, what about for you so far?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's something that when we first sat down and talked about it, it was one of those products that like totally aligned with the lifestyle I kind of wanted to have. Um, Currently, I'm doing an e-commerce business, just kind of wrapping that up, selling it actually, and that's a great lifestyle. You kind of call your own hours, you're your own boss. everything, success or failure, it's on you. You can't, like blame market conditions or HR or whatever. So it's something that is very freeing. And so I think like the lifestyle aspect of it is really engaging and interesting.
Hmm.
And then, but being able to do it with partners like Colin and Evan. This earlier project was just on my own, so I had to like do everything on my own and
Hmm.
wear hats that I didn't even know existed. So I had to research what does that job role look like? What is that? You know,
Yep.
fulfillment. I had to figure out what fulfillment was like 5 years ago. Didn't know that was a thing,
Right.
and so it's just like, and I think that was about a month before my first Kickstarter campaign. It's like, wait a minute, I gotta figure out how to get every single product to every single customer. What
Well,
is
and that's
this?
part of what I'm hearing as you guys are sharing is it's like Brio may be like the first thing that really you get. Well, I'm trying to think how to frame this. Like you guys are obviously like seasoned doers, like, and like that's like part of what I'm reminded of as I'm hearing you talk is that, oh, right. Like also when you're a part of that rapidly growing kind of startup environment, you are put in those positions where like you're totally responsible for whatever's happening and you have to figure out how to do it. Like that is like kind of the work that you learn. And so it's like that's what I'm hearing as you guys are saying this. And it makes sense reflected in everything that I've seen so far about Brio, is that like I feel like you guys pretty obviously like know what you're doing. And so I know you guys are in the like insecure, holy shit, we're about to put out this Kickstarter phase. Like, what if no one funds this shit phase?
Totally.
Like, and
We haven't had
so,
any
and
hiccups.
dude, I
No,
gotta tell
no,
you,
no
like
second
like
guessing.
that never goes away. It
Oh
never goes
man.
away. It like the scarcity that you feel like when you're kind of putting like this is why there's not a lot of like hard goods innovation, I think, is it's like because like how long have you guys been in the development process like on the idea and like product itself?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say
10, 11 months.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. About
right.
that. And
And like think of how many things have happened in that time.
yeah.
you
Oh
know
man.
and now there's this like impending moment where you're gonna like
Yeah.
see what the so like how what is y'all's like what is the Kickstarter, what's the goal gonna be like, and how, and feel you don't have to answer any of these questions, but like what's the goal, and are you guys kind of in production regardless of if it goes amazing, like how crucial is Kickstarter to kind of like you guys launching? Is it just a step, or is it like all the eggs are in this basket?
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit of both. The Kickstarter is huge for us. Um, it's been what we've been working towards for the last 11 months, 10 months to fund this project. We hired a consultant right at the beginning when we started. Launch Boom is the agency, kick crowdfunding agency, and it's been great working with them. They've launched over 1,000 successful projects, so they've got a good formula for Kickstarter. And we knew that we didn't want to take on investors and or like try to get a brand new loan for this. And so the Kickstarter model was very significant for the birth of this. With that being said, we have now started to find funding opportunities that are going to help us along, but in no way would we, I think, be succeeding as much as I think we can if we didn't do the Kickstarter.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are sort of bootstrapping as much as possible, taking in as little outside money as possible is like the goal.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's one thing. Yeah, that just differentiates, this startup versus another startup. Yeah, both are real, both are considered startups, but like, yeah, we wanted to, take the brunt of it on our own and prove it out. work with the product. With that first sample, we took it out for, you know, I don't know how many times have you taken it out, Evan, like camping, and we're just getting it, put some miles on it and learning firsthand. And so there's only so much money can do for development, and you just really got to figure those things out firsthand. And so I think money would have totally obfuscated and like just blurred those lines, got
Totally.
us to a place where feeling confident that everyone's going to want this product because why not? It looks beautiful. And it's like, well, how does this little hinge work? Where's the latch for an extra little um, uh, cup holder for a beer can? Like, how does this latch fit in, or how does the legs fold under? Money will not figure those things out.
Totally. And that's like, I mean, also you're creating a whole slew of problems when you're marketing this thing online. Because like there's so many features, like people will never get it. I mean, like that is there's all kinds of little things on the Moonshade that like remind me of what you're saying. Like the underside is reflective coated, it like throws light.
Oh, that's great.
Like just the way, and I'm just playing back all the early days of like Matthew and I taking this little like he sewed the original version,
Nice.
and it's interesting because part of what I connect with and what you're sharing is like, so there was like a genuine purity with how Moon started, because for Matthew, it was kind of an art project, frankly. Like it kind of was like this product that he had made for himself, and then looped me into it and could put me on retainer as like a marketing professional because he had just worked at Robinhood or whatever. And but there was this like genuine, it allowed us to like really make a product that we loved. And it seems like that's been true for you guys too. And I guess, where does the source of that, like, I think it's unfortunately rare to have the mentality that you're sharing of like, we want to be able to iterate, like we want to be able to make it like we want it. We don't want it to be competing with some outside interest. Like, where does that, like, why do you guys think that way?
Yeah, I think this connects to what Loui was saying a little bit in the value of Kickstarter, is the validating that comes along with it too. Like we're able to put it in front of customers this way and really understand, like set it on its own in a way, and put it on a bit of a pedestal for people to really see and comment on and give us feedback on about features and so on. And so I think that's what Colin would really say in this moment too. I know he was really big on like, we got to find out if this is something that people actually want.
Totally, dude.
Yeah.
Totally.
So he
I
was, adding,
Amen, brother.
yeah.
Preach. It's just like, I
Yeah.
don't know how much stuff these days is made from like genuine innovation or care, unfortunately. And there is something like, there's something about the Brio when you just see it, it's like very aesthetically pleasing. And that was like one of the things that reminded me, that's like, I think one of the low key things with the Shade that people don't realize is like, the dome shape is just sort of a more like, it's a more beautiful shape. Like it like looks better than something. And so like that's what I find so compelling about the Brio, is like, who was the driving force around different parts of the design, because it's a very dialed, okay, seems like Louis our guy, but like it's a very just like beautifully designed, like really thoughtful, like materials, like that's all Louis, eh?
Well, no, the initial idea was again like Evan and his family. Like they kind of grew up with the Brio, and his dad like just kind of invented it based on what you guys kind of your summer routines, and it sounded like an awesome way to enjoy the great outdoors. And so I'm kind of just kind of learning from him and the innovations that he had built, and And so yeah,
I'm guessing you've seen some of the like his dad's like oldest prototypes and tell me about the first time you got to see one of the, are we calling it one of the original Brios? How do we honor the
Well,
family
okay,
design, Evan?
yeah. So yeah, I guess this connects to that story and now and yeah, I think I'd say first that my dad, he built these because yeah, he was tired of the disorganization and constant setup and takedown and wanted more space to live while outdoors, especially with the family of five. And so yeah, he's always been a tinkerer, knew his carpentry well, built like a dune buggy when he was in high school. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. So he um yeah, built these four boxes out of wood that were more of a cube shaped, and then they connected with a bridge that he put two like uh Tupperware bins in for sinks. And he would get people coming by the campsite all the time saying like, "Where'd you get that? We got to get something like that." So it sparked his mind to think about turning this into a product himself. And at the time, he was calling it the Pamper Camper. That was the name.
What so like when you were growing up, were you guys just like outside all the time? Was that like kind of part of like what
Yeah,
your
man.
parents loved?
Weekends for sure. Yeah, my dad, like especially, he grew up as a cowboy driving cattle across between Canada and the States.
Mm,
On the His dad, my grandpa, was the largest owner of, or was an owner of the largest cattle ranch in North America. It's called
mm,
the Gang Ranch, and so it spanned millions
mm.
of kilometers. And so from a young age, my dad would go out and do these cattle drives with the cowboys. And so I think he's always just been out in nature, and yet for some reason there's something that called him to the city. So when he was in his 20s, he was working in a mine, and then they transferred him to the head office in Vancouver. And so we grew up in the suburbs, but he wanted to get us out into the nature as much as possible. I think he wanted
That's
to get out
awesome.
in nature as much as possible. So on weekends, basically, we were about like only like an hour plus away from campsites and pure nature, and so it was easy enough to get out there. But still, with a family of five, all the gear you got to pack and set up, and he wanted to simplify, improve. So
Mm, that's awesome.
yeah.
And so Louis, when was the first time you saw like the OG, you know?
yeah, yeah, right. I think just in images, we did test it out in person, and so that was a good experience of just like, because yeah, I think everybody has an experience of just cooking on the ground on a burner or like just over a fire. That primitive. It's like just so primitive. We're like back to caveman days of just like meat over fire, and that's
Right.
how we do. It's like then we go back into our high-rise apartment in our electric cars. It's like, why is there such a divide here? And so yeah, I think elevating that experience of cooking outdoors was enticing. So um I knew that, yeah, if you just kind of like make it a little bit more convenient, all the parts are integrated and modular on the box itself. That's kind of the first idea that got me thinking, in building on the original design. And so a consumable, like a mass consumer product that can be, yeah, highly precision manufactured. Um, it could be robust, ready to assemble. It can be, it could stand a test of time. We all have, like, in our grandpa's garage, there's like a Coleman stove there or some kind of like tent that still like exists somehow. Like,
Right.
like it's amazing how old appliances and stuff just last. And so we wanted to kind of go that route. So aluminum and steel, powder coated steel were pretty good choices there. Um, and yeah, just to kind of like look at it from a yeah, mass consumer product where we could break down, like bring the price down, make it available, get people, in their cars out into nature. And so that's kind of
Yeah.
a boundary for most of us. Like, I guess I'm more of the not every weekend I don't go out and enjoy it. I think Evan and
Right.
Colin do.
Well, and I think honestly, I think that
Okay.
like the Evans family, I think is like a rarity, like in the sense of, like for me, like the first time I went outside, it was like the first time I remember going camping with my family was on like a Boy Scout trip with my older brother and my dad when I was like in third grade, and it just rained the entire time is what I
Yeah.
remember.
Right.
But yeah, I think getting outside can be anything. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like I can imagine people using the Brio like in the backcountry and then also like tailgating. Like I
That's
think
it.
that there's not like there doesn't seem to be a limit to it. And again, like this is where some of the crazy like parallels are, but like, modularity was like a huge design vision for the shade. And I'm gonna skip you guys years ahead of something I wish someone had told me, which is like the whole genius of like the customizable components for your customer is like the person you're envisioning using the Brio, like they're gonna really love and appreciate they can do whatever the heck they want, like
Mm.
also make some kits, make some like base like like eliminate the choices for people, like because that was that was just something for us that it took us a long time to arrive at, because the modularity for the moonshade is like what it's set up on. It's not like in the product itself. But yeah, I guess I was curiously like, was there like an aesthetic vision that you had in your head? Because I find it so clean. Like I think it's like a beautiful thing. And I wonder, like from like a design sense, I heard you say that you were just imagining the experience of like cooking outside. But I guess what other things were kind of like when you were kind of dreaming of making this thing that you were going to be really proud of, like I think you listed a lot of them. I understand. I think the way, the modularity and all those things, like how you built it, I think speak to kind of, I guess, your design value or aesthetic. But
Mhm.
what are maybe some of the more esoteric parts of like your design aesthetic that you like brought to the design?
Hmm. Oh, that's a really good question. 'Cause it takes a lot of like sitting down and thinking through how the customer will use it, how everything that the user will throw at it. Like, um, I'm imagining like everybody from, family with a nice like sedan going out, cooking, coming back. That's it. That's the full day. Or Survivor, kind of like out there in the wilderness, 50 days, just like pretty much just on his own, just with a knife and a Brio camper. Like, kitchen.
Right.
So like the
I
two
love that.
extremes. Like we got to provide something to bridge that gap.
Mm.
Interesting. So
That's cool.
yeah, and I like how you said it. Like pare it down to the basic parts so that it's like as modular and as basic and as you could make it so that users could imbue their own kind of value into it. And so that's kind
For
of
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
that's a launching point. Yeah.
For the design call that you guys did last week, who did you find? Like, how did you find those people? So, like, this is what, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of, we're a week and a half away from Kickstarter launch, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
And just to catch up on the production, there, like, making a Kickstarter is kind of a pain in the ass. There's a lot that goes into it. Making the page itself sucks because it's not very UX friendly. Like, how dialed are you? Like, is the content done? Like, is it like ready to go? Are you guys just waiting? Are you guys, is it a race to the finish line? But about a week ago, so I guess 2.5 weeks before the launch, you guys did this initial kind of like design reveal call with some people that you'd connected with and just kind of the early marketing. And I'm curious, like, I'd love to know where you're at in the process, but maybe start with like, what were you guys hoping to learn from that call? What did you hear? And maybe what's that brought up for you even in just like the last week?
Mm. Good questions. Yeah. Well, I think it was a few things here. For one, yeah, people just started to see the Brio and take interest on social media, like you have, Henry. And so we started to invite those people who were reaching out and saying like, this is cool, and some people giving us feedback. Have you thought about this or that? People who were taking an interest, we wanted to involve in the process because clearly they care. So, those are the people that we want to gain some feedback from. That combined with we've been building a like a VIP group of people who have already put $1 down to reserve a Brio. And so we put the invitation out to them. That group, along with those people who have been showing an interest on social media, and just yeah, wanted to bring them all into a room because Loui had been updating the designs for the Brio. That's going to be much closer to our final product. And there was a couple specific areas that we wanted to feedback on because we still weren't sure
Mm,
how we were going to make it work or what people would want. And we weren't totally sure what we would want either. Um, and that was specifically around the interior because we were thinking like, okay, what would be more effective and where do we want to be on the spectrum of full customization and full standardization like so full customization being let's say just an empty interior where you could stack like Cambro containers basically at one end of the spectrum, and then the other end let's say just rails where we have very specific shelving that you need to keep at exact heights. And
mm.
so I think we found a middle ground. You want to speak to that, Louis? And again, thanks to the help of the people who were on the call. That was very, very insightful on that, as well as other little features and feedback that people
Mm,
share too.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this pre-launch phase of like getting so much insight, so many data points pointing us to the eventual right direction. Colin's been really good at steering Evan and I toward the end goal of getting people value, giving them value. Like
mm.
go off and make a beautiful thing, hopefully. But in my corner, where I'm like, will people buy that? Will that solve their need? I don't know. I need Evan's perspective and Colin's analytics and our customers, you know, user point of view to make that a reality. And so I think having this like cyclical, iterative kind of venture, doing this together with the group has been extremely helpful. And so yeah, we just kind of like further refine all these features. Yeah, a good example of that is like this kind of pegboard style shelving system. It's
Mm,
not slats. It's not just one thing. It's yeah, imagine a pegboard with like,
that's
quarter-inch
cool.
spacing, and you could fit shelves in there, or vertical, or throw anything else at it. 3D printed attachment system. Like we don't want to tell you what to do, and so it just kind of is like an open platform. We've got other features coming out where there's grids that you mount on the sides that you could like, build out cup holders or any kind of other add-on. You could produce your own, and as long as it latches
That's rad.
carabiner.
That's rad, man. It's like it's awesome. Like I think that part of how we felt in the last couple of years, and maybe this is like why I've like so energetically reached out to Evan and wanted to connect with you guys, is that it just is. There's so many parallels
Hmm.
to like the way we've thought about the the shade system is kind of how we're thinking about it.
Well, how
And
you guys
there's
like connected the things is genius, and in just those details of how the user cinches something close, like or tighter. It's like that's
well, and
fantastic.
that's like I think that that's the next iteration for us that we're very close. We actually may be launching a Kickstarter early next year. Early, like we weren't. It's another shade, and so I wasn't like we were thinking about just putting it out, but um there's like kind of a whole strategy. There's like Kickstarter is such an effective platform for a lot of different reasons, and it really does, I think, help you focus you on like kind of what this, unique selling points are of your product. It like really, it's a really condensed, like intense, you know, campaign to really focus you on that. I'm curious, as you guys have built out the campaign, are you guys saying all that stuff is everything's ready to go? Like you could launch tomorrow?
No,
Yeah.
no. Come on, man. Come
All
on,
right, good. Just making sure.
you
I was
never
like,
go, no,
these
yeah.
guys are the most on top of their shit guys I've ever met, because every Kickstarter I've ever been a part of, which is like a dozen, it is just like a race to the finish.
Yeah, yeah. No way, man. No, it's definitely not all there. We're still in it and figuring out things and optimizing and I feel good about where we're at, and yet, yeah, you're right. It's definitely a race to the finish, and there's still more to do.
So what's the like? So I do wanna. This is like kind of evolved in a way that I'm just gonna go with. I had these questions. I'm throwing them away because I feel like we're sort of on this clear narrative. And we've already acknowledged a little of just the Kickstarter anxiety being present. But like, what is the goal? Like I think maybe like let's talk about what the goal is for Kickstarter and kind of what you hope that tells you guys. And then I think that maybe as we wind down this conversation, if you have any questions for me in terms of like someone who's been on a path, I think a path similar to where I feel like you guys are at the trailhead and I've been there too. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to tell you exactly where to go, but I do very much understand this sort of overland car camping. I don't know like what like the Canadian market like calls the terms of car camping, but like
It's the same.
anything that you would want to know about what this has looked like for us, I'm happy to talk about. But like to ground it with just where you guys are at now, yeah, like what what's the goal? What's left to do? Like just like tell me about the Kickstarter.
Sure, cool. Yeah, well, I would say the goal is to allow Brio to get off the ground. Like we need customers, and we need supporters and believers, and this is like as it's called, Kickstarter, it's the launch pad for us. And uh so that, like, the funding that we get through Kickstarter is going to allow us to do a production run. And from there we'll launch an e-commerce store, and from there we'll refine, and we want to get into wholesaling, and and into stores. And from there we want to expand our product line into other modular boxes, other Brio boxes that have
Cool.
have different functionalities, like the freezer box, or the cooler box, or the power box,
Hell yeah.
or the meat curing box, or the smoker box, or whatever, whatever people need or want, that allows them to enjoy the outdoors more and have more like, let's say, like, sustainable living. Like, I'm even thinking at some point we could do the composting toilet box. You're not gonna have it beside the kitchen box, but
Yeah, you don't want to get those confused.
yeah, totally. But like, when you're storing them, for these to be modular and just be able to stack together and put them in the shed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, when you're out and you're wanting to live longer with less resources, to have these things is going to help you live longer in the outdoors comfortably. That's, I think, where our vision for the product and the business.
Evan, as someone who is like a child of the outdoors, who like grew up in a family that loves it, like I'm curious how much of the passion that you just shared comes from like the way you've seen outdoor recreation change like in your lifetime, like, or just the way you've maybe seen the world change because of your relationship with the outdoors. Like, because there's like like one, hell yeah, I'm on board with all of that. And I feel like, again, you know, you guys are our Canadian counterparts, I guess. But like like where, yeah, just like where does that passion come from? Because it's clear that this is like
Mm.
bigger than a company for you, you know, some like it's like the company's the vehicle, but there's something that's like driving that, you know, and like what is that for you?
Mm. Yeah, I think nature's always had an important role in my life, and I didn't really fully get it as a kid, but now, yeah, as Lou was saying, living in an apartment in a building and being less connected to nature, I seek it out to uh reduce stress, gain some mental energy and clarity, and feel more centered in myself. And so I do really truly believe in the healing power of nature. And
Mm,
for one, and two, you asked about like, how the world's changed over time. And I think for me and my like outdoor experience, it hasn't changed a lot. Like I'm still just going camping with a tent and and ideally a fire um the basic gear. But
mm,
I also know like there's movements around, like you were saying, the nomad culture and off-grid living, and and also like more modular living as well, whether it be through van life or
right.
landing, or even yeah, like a mentor just bought some land in the Baja recently, and
Mm,
like, I need your box, man. Like he's like and he's really said, you guys are onto something. There is this pull for people towards nature more now, and to live more simply, and that this product is like so in line with that as well.
yeah, man. That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that it just is really cool to hear. Um, and I'm bummed your other co-founder couldn't be here, but it's like I think that you know the greatest. I think like the way I've been thinking about it recently is that like I think we're just like in a time where we're lacking like a lot of genuine goods. Like a lot of innovation is fueled by a lot of different interests, and that doesn't mean it's bad, and that doesn't mean it's like uh doesn't benefit a lot of people, but like it's hard. Like I think a lot of entrepreneurial culture has moved us away from like actually solving a problem for yourself and then doing something, you know, and like that's like, but that like that's something I think why people maybe are so drawn to the Brio, why you guys have already seen this sort of reflection of like people really being interested is that you know you really have thoughtfully thought about like what it's like to cook outside. You know, as someone who's like cooking outside is like my thing. It is like the, you know, I think everyone has their different way of camping and things they enjoy about it. For me, it is like there's just something about preparing food like in the middle of nowhere around a campfire that I just find like super grounding.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the Brio, man. I really think that like everything you guys have gone for with this design, you've totally accomplished it, you know? And I think that you can like, regardless of if this Kickstarter goes well or not, like you guys did it, man. Like you got like the thing that you set out to do, you've made.
Mm.
And now we'll see how the capitalism gods will treat you.
We found a
Do
problem
they
in the
agree?
universe.
Yeah. Do they
And
agree we've made it?
But what do you guys know? What the do you have you guys like finalized the number for the goal, like the funding goal?
Yeah, funding goal is 15,000.
That's a good goal. You guys will get it. Easy, easy. I don't want to jinx you, but because what is the MSRP of the box is going to be what, and then what's the Kickstarter discount?
Yeah, so MSRP is 665,
Hmm,
and the with the Kickstarter discount, we're doing a whole 40% off. Like we
that's
really,
awesome.
yeah, we want to get this in people's hands, and want them to test it and try it, and and love it. And so that's why we're doing such a big discount. So that brings it down to 399.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
what like how and like how are we feeling about the Kickstarter anxiety? Like we're like are you guys like at a space where you're like, yeah, this is worth it regardless of how it goes? Are you feeling like you got it? Are you not wanting to get ahead of yourselves? Like not a lot of people have go through what you guys are about to go through. So it's like what how does it feel? Like bring me into it.
Lou, you've done a Kickstarter before. How's this one feeling?
Well,
That's a
the
good
first one, my first Kickstarter failed. Uh, so I feel like I got that one out of our way.
Yeah, there you
And,
go.
we've appeased the capitalist gods. We failed once. Now, I think that was on the altar. We
Yeah,
sacrificed.
yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
put one up there for sure.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. It's a just but fair. God. Yeah, I think it's something that we have total confidence in. We've gone through testing and gone through the cycles of is this good or not, and the crises of, hey, like will people buy this, and then we take it out, enjoy the heck out of it on a mountaintop, and like, yeah, well, if we do, maybe there's some other people out there, and I don't think we're
Mm.
too crazy because we're really connecting here on that level with you here, Henry. So it's something that I think, regardless of how big it goes, I think we're going to be really pumped to bring it into the world, and just have guys like us just enjoy it, and yeah, just for ourselves, and to take it out, and feel proud of what we've accomplished, and yeah, build on it. I think what's super exciting is the next phases as well. Getting into adding to it, getting a better, clear understanding of how people use the box, seeing, just on Instagram and things, user generated content, people bringing their own kind of, putting it into their own context, throwing
I
everything
mean,
at it. That's gonna be fun.
again, bro, I feel like I'm you in the future, but like it is really cool. It's like it's super. That's the rad thing about making a modular product in the internet age. It's like you
Yeah,
see, you're like, whoa, people really use it that way, you
Yeah.
know?
you tapped into something that's interesting too, with like how the culture's developed in the last few years, like, well, 15 years, but how insulated and tech focused we've become. Like,
Yeah.
every new thing is an app, and I'm sounding like an old man, but it's literally, it's hyper technical, but all the innovation is going there, and not so much into the feature, like
There
the
was like this flip at some
physical
point where
experience.
yeah, there was like because how old are you guys?
34.
33.
Okay, so I'm 37. So like, yeah, you had some internet free years. Um,
Yeah.
I think that this is the way that I explain it. We all convinced ourselves the internet was going to change the world, and it's like the good news is that we did. The bad news is that we all live in a mall. And
Yeah.
like so, like when I kind of think of Moon, I think of Moon as like we're a store in the mall, but like our whole deal is we're trying to get people out. Like it's like there's like a back door, to where it's like, hey, like here's some community out here. Because I think
Hmm.
yeah, at some point the internet just like it flipped from like
Yeah.
us doing stuff. It's like everything we create is like for the internet. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
true with most product development.
Yeah.
Like it's like physical product development has become about like what it's gonna like. It's like the subway tile problem. Like subway tile looks cool in a cafe on Instagram or whatever, but now like it's ubiquitous. It's actually not that cool,
Hmm.
and everything can kind of feel like there's like a little bit of a facade.
Yeah.
And that is just the thing that the Brio just like you guys are sort of on an opposite end of the spectrum of, and I think that I'm really excited for whatever this journey is that you guys are about to take. I think that it's really cool how much just like thought and intention has gone into this. And it just, as someone who is making an outdoor product, like I think part of it is like I haven't there's a lot of innovation that is happening in this sort of outdoor space, but there's like not really a ton. There's not like you don't see a lot of that centered in one area like it used to be. Like I came up in outdoor retail, and that's kind of just like where I started making content and doing like freelance creative work and like helping people launch products. and there used to be this whole like venture out section, and this was like 2010, early 2010s. And it seemed to be like there used to be these spaces where we could all go and be like, oh, this is where the outdoor industry is launching stuff. This is where this industry is launching stuff. And we're kind of in this weird space with outdoor where I think part of what COVID did, like from my perspective, is a lot of like the branding that outdoor legacy brands have relied on for a long time, of like being like the super cool, sexy people doing the super cool thing outside. Like, I think that's just flipped to where people just like, there's no wrong way to go outside. You
Yeah.
know, like
It's
that's what's cool about the
intimidating.
vision. Yeah, like there's no wrong way to use a brio, right? There's no gatekeeping of like you're not doing that in the right way. Like it's no, like just make space outside however you want to do it. And I think that that's what's cool, I think, about the communities of people who spend time outside, is I think that that's kind of where we're at. And um I think you guys are just coming into the space in a really cool time, and I want to help however I can.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh,
Thanks,
nice.
man.
Well, it's cool to see that like you've got the history and the experience being in the industry so long. And so I guess like my question to you would be like, yeah, like where do you see this convergence of like cool tech, cool, devices and wireless, music players and all these cool things? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
convergence with the Internet of Things with the hardcore rugged nature of just a box or a cable or a set of like
Mm.
axes or something like that? Like where does that convergence happen?
Like when does like when are we are when does like the mainstream think the Brio is just as cool as I do? Is that like what you're asking?
Maybe that's a better way to look at it. Yeah, because like
Like
there's a lot of interest in the tech side of things. Like,
I think there's just a lot of money in it, dude. I mean, like that's like I've worked in, so I mean, like I'm a documentary filmmaker that's like always done marketing for money, essentially. And so I've just like seen a lot of industries, and this is kind of crazy in terms of the alignment that's happening here. But Evan, no shit, like I'm working on a feature-length documentary about the US cattle industry right now.
Nice.
And so I've been filming with like a Brahmin breeder in Texas for the last couple months, essentially. And so it's, but like every industry that I've seen, I just think that like we're in a space where, and I don't think anyone's to blame for this. I don't think there's any like nefarious bad people who are like trying to, like hurt the little guy.
Mm.
But it's like all the data shows that like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And I think that like part of like what the internet has like put to super speed is that like big money like controls a lot of like the I feel like Joe Rogan right now. And I'm like a very progressive dude. I have a journalist fiance. We have a rescue dog who's barking at me. We live in Memphis, so I have a lot of non-white friends, a lot of queer friends. I'm not like I feel like Joe Rogan.
Right on, people.
But so sorry, I'm going way off track, Louis. I would say for the industry that we're a part of, like I think where I see innovation happening the most is it is at physical shows. And so like Overland Expo is probably the show that I think most can, and they're the big one. They're like the big behemoth here. And there's like a lot of little tiny shows. But I think that, man, I think like where innovation's really being showcased is like it's with these all of these like really connected online communities. Like this is the way I view the outdoor market, at least mine. And I think that you guys are a part of this too. But so I came up in outdoor retail, Patagonia, REI, all those guys. There was like a couple startup outdoor brands in Austin where I lived. And then um and then I ended up like helping rebrand an RV manufacturer called Tax Outdoors in 2018. And so I've sort of been like connected to the RV industry for the last like 8 years. And like basically like there was always disconnect between those two spaces. And I think what's happened with the internet is that like it's totally eroded it, because I think people have realized, even if you're going mountain biking, like you're probably like car camping, like wherever you're going to some place and camping and then doing the thing. It's kind of like the way most things happen. So I feel like for the industry that we're a part of, that's the weird space we're in, is like there's no real common ground from like a major industry. The cool thing is that there are thousands of connected online communities who organize around the type of vehicle they camp in, the type of activity they do, the type of recreate, the type of place they like, the place that they love, that they like to go, the conservation that they're into, whatever it is. Like, it's like, that's where people are making purchase decisions. And like, we've seen that, like, I've watched it happen with Moon. Cause like so like Moon's Kickstarter was, our goal was 25,000 and we did 32. And then we had always planned to launch April 2020. And then just because of like the timing of COVID, but also because of how people shop for products. Like, and I think this will happen for you guys too, whenever you launch the e-com, is that like some people weren't ready to buy our awning when they saw it on Kickstarter. And then in our first month of selling on the internet, we exceeded our Kickstarter goal in like 2 weeks. And that was also April 2020. So there's like a major caveat for the timing of it. But I think that that's the way you'll see Brio grow. I think that you will see people from sort of different online communities share about it because they're going to love it. And then other people are going to see it. And that's like, and so the biggest example for us is the Airstream Basecamp community. We've sold over 1,000 awnings to them. And we know because we've made them a specific anchor. Because like the Moonshades modular can attach with a bunch of different stuff. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but that's like the way I view our market.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, really good answer. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
So through the community.
Yeah, it's about people in the end, eh?
I mean, it's like that's the weird. I think the genuine opportunity that y'all have as creating something that I view as like a genuine good, like something that is inspired from like everything from Evan's childhood to Louis's design taste, like it's something that you guys are really proud of. Well, like if you think about how we should use the internet, like it's like we should think about building a brand as like Connect is creating 200 relationships with a key person in each one of those online communities versus like 20,000 Instagram followers. Because like those 200 people are going to have way more influence than like the number of people like clicking on your story. But I did the cool thing about the space that we're in is like people love gear. And I think that a lot of people are going to have the reaction that I did, which is it's like, you guys have just made something that I think a lot of people have imagined, but you guys kind of took the time to actually do it. Like that's kind of like, I think a lot of people have thought about improving the sort of camp cook space. And so I'm stoked for you guys. I think this is like the beginning of something big.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we like to think so as well. We certainly hope so. It's been a very fun journey so far, and yeah, we're excited for the near future too. We're gonna go to China right after the campaign, the Kickstarter campaign's done, to ensure that everything is up to snuff with the product, and we'll do some more refinement with them on the spot to yeah, make sure it's robust and dependable in the way we want it to be. And so that'll be fun too. We're very connected to our manufacturer. They've been awesome. Our main contact goes camping too, and so she really got the idea of like wanting to
Yeah.
spend more time enjoying. And so yeah, we're very excited for that, and excited to do this road trip that we've been planning in the spring as well, with a couple of the first products, and bringing it around
Well,
the States and to people like yourself. And I want you to cook a meal on it, man.
dude, I was about to say we got a couple team members in Bend, Oregon. So that's probably like the closest to you guys. So definitely when you get the dates, let me know. I would also say that next year, unless you guys really want to start this road trip quickly, we throw a big ass camp out in the middle of nowhere called Moon Landing. It's in New Mexico, so it's pretty far from you guys, but
Sick.
moonlandinggathering.com. You should check it out. And then yeah, I'm excited for you guys. And like what's the timing on, do you have like a production window of like what ideally when you're like having inventory in the US shipping to Kickstarter backers, is there sort of a target window for that? And like, and I would imagine ecom would launch around then too.
Yep, Lou.
Oh, yeah. You have the dates. Evan made a great infographic on the
Yeah,
land.
yeah, yeah.
So
Gonna be on our Kickstarter page. But yeah, we're planning the production will happen through the winter. We'll do our quality assurance in the spring, and product will be landed in the States in, let's say, May, and we'll be delivering through May, June.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, in time for
Well,
summer.
like I'm stoked for what you guys have put in are like already and just what you've created, and I'm excited to see. And yeah, we'll see what the timing of, I mean, obviously I'll get this email out to our crew, but I think that if this lives as the first Make Space inaugural episode, I don't know when that'll launch, but it may be early like next year. But I guess as we wind down, yeah, like anything I didn't know to ask, anything that I should have asked that you guys want to talk about, or anything you want to ask me that you didn't get a chance to ask.
Hmm. Mhm.
I think well, yeah, you had a lot of good questions. Some anything else we should know? Do you want to kind of jump into that, like kind of finishing things off, like kind of what we learned already, and then looking into the future, like
Yeah, that'd be cool.
kind of.
Yeah, I think that that's like maybe a good way to wind us out. I guess maybe would be like, yeah, like what do you feel like you've learned up into this point? And yeah, when you look ahead, what does that look like?
Mhm. Yeah, I think doing something with your friends is always a good time. Um, yeah, I think the dynamic between Evan, Colin, and myself is it's been really good. I think just in how we work, our demeanor, our personality traits, kind of aligns to make a really good team. It's like a three-part Venn diagram. When in the middle,
Mm,
there's like a love for getting out there, enjoying life, enjoying the outdoors, and then we each kind of go off and do our own kind of thing, and stay in our lane and just be really productive. There's a lot of trust between. So it's like, hey, I know that this could be delivered. If it's not, there'll be a comment saying, hey, this came up. I'm addressing it this way. Really great communication. And Evan facilitates that really well. Colin is just a genius with all things marketing, sales, connecting the dots, making sense of the data, getting us on track, keeping us on track that way. And so, yeah, I think the dynamics between the friends are really good. And it's not just the fact that we're friends, we're doing this thing. It's the alignment. And so,
yeah, it's like an
that
effective
helps.
collaboration. Like everybody kind of has their role, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that. So my one thing of advice would be like, do that and start real quick. Start sooner than later.
Mm,
Like get something get something working, a minimal viable product or something in your hands. I think we could have went back and forth in sketches and drawings and CAD designs for ages, but we went right to cardboard and tape.
Mm,
That was how it felt.
love.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a cool journey. I totally agree with you. The dynamic between you, Colin, and I is so fortunate. We definitely each have and bring a different skill set and lens and perspective that each seems to add so much value to Brio. Louis, the art is, our product guy. Colin is super practical, and I like the more community building, big picture stuff, and so it comes together really well for the three of us, and it's all taken longer than we thought to. We thought like, oh, we'll
Dude, it
launch our,
always does.
oh man, we thought we'll launch our Kickstarter beginning of June, in time for the summer, and oh
Mm.
man, it's way longer than we thought
Get
there.
ready for that, dudes. Like
Yeah.
the manufactured goods thing, it just is like
Hmm.
that was one of the things I was not ready for with Moon. Was just like there's like a I guess you guys have the background of like the building materials, but there's just like cascading effects of like, you know, what you put out when and all that stuff. Just the whole supply side of this was something I just was like,
Yeah.
we had no background in it. So like we like knew enough to like find a really good supplier to work with, and that all worked out. But it just was like a lot of hard lessons in that. But
Mm.
I love what Louis said about just like, and what you guys are both reflecting of like finding people. There's a cool thing about being friends with people, but there's also a cool thing about being really effective collaborators with people, like where everyone kind of has their role, and that the team is kind of greater than the one, but the one is also kind of like a superhero, you
Mm.
know?
Right.
And so,
Irreducible.
um,
We couldn't do this without Colin. We
Yeah.
we would have blown our budget in like the first two
Oh man, I know. Both Louis and I are the
oh,
type to like we're like we get very excited, both of us really quickly. And again, Colin's so practical and he brings us right down into like what's realistic, and so grateful that he's
oh, dude, I just got one of those because Matthew, my co-founder, dude, I mean, I'm a documentary filmmaker. Like I'm like an independent filmmaker. There's no one more optimistic than me. You know what I mean? And then Matthew, like he has a background in tech, but he's like a data researcher. So like we had like no hard skills of running a business. And like we almost killed Moon. I mean, like that's what's been crazy for us is it's like we had the most serendipitous, like right place, right time start. But it was like all of the things that you guys are feeling right now of like Brio's all dreams right now, right? And then it's like imagine the Kickstarter goes well, and then the moment you put the product online, it like kind of goes viral in van life. Like that's what happened for us. And so we just like we didn't have a Chris to be like, no guys, we're not just gonna keep growing at this like crazy rate. And so Moon's been a roller coaster, but dude, I do think the most universal truth I've found in work, and I've gotten to do a lot of fun stuff for work my whole career. Like my friends and I started a clean water thing in college that ended up becoming like my first job. And um dude, doing things with people you love, doing things that people you're like, aligned with, that's kind of all there is, because the Brio is cool and the Moonshade's cool, but like does the world need, like, are we like changing the world with like an awning and a camping box? I don't know. Like I think we kind of are actually. Like I do think that we've both like we've both made products that are literally designed to help people imagine themselves outside, you know? And so like, and I do find what we do as Moon really meaningful, but like there's no like product or story or whatever that's like that is better than like working with people you love and trust.
Mm.
Like that is the magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's been a fun adventure so far. And yeah, I'm just so excited, for where this could go. And yeah, it's been fun. Like you're just starting to bring it out into the world in micro ways. We have one box, and it's cool to bring it to, either on a Forest Service road um, or to campsites, and people already coming up and saying like, "What is that?" Like, yeah, I bring this trailer, and I still want something like this. Like, where can I follow along? So yeah, it's been fun, and like I love that connection to people and the community building, and um yeah, it's just going to keep growing, like you said. As soon as the say the van life community gets a hold of it, it could potentially take off here. So I'm just grateful for that.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think it just keep doing this. Just like keep trusting your gut, because like it's. I mean, I see outdoor shit all the time, and it's like I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your skirt, but like the Brio took my breath away. Like it was like I was like, someone's done it. Someone's finally done it, and I just wish you the best. And we'll do all we can from Moonside to shout you guys out. And yeah, I can't wait until maybe the actual version of this podcast for the Moon Make Space Pod. I mean, this could make it. I'm not. I feel like this has been an awesome convo. It's been all over the place because of me, but well, maybe the real version of this we'll do in the wild. Like we'll actually be somewhere camping and we can record it that way. But I feel a lot of gratitude to have this on tape, because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm excited to see how we reflect back on this in the next couple of years.
It's a good
Yeah,
time
man.
to launch it because we're talking now September 19th, but I mean I just dated it. But we yeah, you might launch post campaign, post, we've been building them we're in production, and
Mhm.
getting customers feedback, and it's interesting to like get a listen. We'll listen to this in 3-4 months and then look
Yeah,
back on it and be like, oh,
it's
I
a
guess
cool like timestamp for us too.
timestamp.
Like
Yeah.
a week and a
Yeah.
half before the launch here, this is
Yeah.
what our conversation is. Like, what's gonna happen
Yeah.
two,
Well,
3
that's
months?
just like what I'm trying to trust, honestly. Like I think like part of what I've been trying to lean back into with Moon is that I really trusted my gut when we launched it. And um and that's what's been so weird about Moon is it's like I felt like a genius, and then I felt like a fool. It went like that. And it was weird because all the intuition that I'd followed when starting Moon is the same thing that like where we got ahead of ourselves. And I realize now, like I always saw things clearly. My timing was way off. Like that's just kind of like they're like you don't control the timing.
Right.
Like you don't control the way people take this on or whatever. And but yeah, so I've been trying to just lean back more into. But something that I keep hearing is like keep telling me, "Well, Moon is such a great story. You should come do this interview, or you should come do this podcast." And also people appreciating some of the early things we did in terms of storytelling, and wanting to kind of figure out a way to bring it back into it. And so, in some ways, the way I've started this podcast with this episode, with talking to you guys, is like this is kind of how I learned how to do things. Like I kind of run into something with like enough shape for it to sort of work, and then kind of like learn from what it is. And so, but what I'm imagining for the podcast would be that it's like the bulk of it is this conversation, but then there would also be a part that I like pre-record, so it's more set up. And then part of it is my buddy Richard, who I do a bunch of storytelling with. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about the conversation as it's happening. It's kind of this like multi-layered thing, and it could totally not work. But I also think there's a world where like I do feel like the shit that you guys are doing, and I feel like what Moon's doing is like super unique. Like it's unique, but I also keep meeting other people doing other rad stuff like us. It feels like there's this like collective growing
Mm.
of like aligned companies where it's like, dude, I never want to make a camping box. You know what I mean? But I've just opened up this whole market where like I think I could seriously give you guys a leg up if I can get some of this Elkhart stuff to work out. But like the thing that's exciting about me about that is like the just sort of horizontal alignment and where there's all of these different seeds being planted. And I do think it's connected to the nomad community. And I do think it's like I think people are just sort of getting like tired of the rat race, and they've never been more actively trying to figure out like how to like get outside. And
Yeah,
it's like
point.
a little silly that we have to like give people a product for them to imagine themselves doing that.
Mm.
But that is kind of how this world works, you know? And it's like
Yeah, we gotta
that
kind of
is
break those bridges down, mental bridges of like, oh, if I only had all the gear. Like skiing is a good example of just, an intimidating like threshold of like gotta get all the cool looking gear and it's
right.
there's a barrier to entry. So I think breaking those things down, just providing a little, you know, hopefully an accessible product to get out there and bring people around you. I think spike balls are maybe another good example of like a super
Great example.
easy,
Yeah.
hey, you hang out around the beach, boom, suddenly you have 3 4 people playing together that didn't know each other. It's like
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
so hopefully it's the same phenomena. Yeah, it's cool. I think that you get all these comments as well, like people coming up from RVs and be like, oh, I can see that using
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, I think getting it out there, putting it in front of people and seeing how
I
they.
mean, I was like on your road trip, y'all have to go to Elkhart, and I may meet you up there. But like, because yeah, I mean, so just to give you an idea, so like 300,000 RVs are produced in Elkhart, Indiana every year,
Crazy.
and so like the uh like one of the brands that like I've mentioned the Brio to, they probably produce 10 to 15,000 units a year. And basically what they're wanting is they like, I mean, this is what I saw your guys thing. And then, Evan, I sent you that article. I don't know, Louis, if you saw it, but I just was like in this RV business article yesterday. And because part of what's happening for us is that the manufacturers that we're working with the shade, um, they sorry, it's just getting dark where I'm at, but like they've started asking us to make other stuff because like one of our product team was like one of the heads of R&D at Patagonia, and so like we're working on like a hammock and a hammock stand, um but like the main way we're hoping to like like work with other like products is to like distribute you guys basically, where it's like but what he is wanting is to like make a literal like exact die cut like uh into the RV, like a little storage container for the Brio, and the Brio would just, it would literally be built for that.
Cool.
So like but he literally was, it was like a week after I'd seen y'all's Instagram, and he's like, I really need like an outdoor kitchen. And I was like, dude, check this thing out.
Hmm. Yeah, very cool.
So I don't, but like that's the B2B. I mean, I will say that like I think it's easy to, not easy. I think it's possible to like, the nice thing about the price point of y'all's product is like it's well priced, and you'll definitely be able to move it online. Like how quickly that, like you could create a sustainable little e-com business out of it, right? Like the the B2B stuff is weird in the US right now. Like because like the outdoor industry is sort of dying, and then there's all this overlanding stuff, but there's not like a ton of like, that's why I just focused on the RV industry, is like they they're really in a time where they're trying to like reach the camping customer more than ever.
Mm.
And so like, and the quickest way, like it's such a slow moving industry like Forest River, one of the two major companies, only started using email in 2010. Just to like give you an idea. This is like Amish country, super fucking old school.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's takes them a really long time to innovate. But basically the RV industry's gotten their ass kicked in the last 2 years because they produced a bunch of shitty product during COVID was part of it. They sold a bunch of just bad stuff,
Mm.
but also like the consumer is a lot wiser. Like people are totally willing. Like van life is over. Like the van life created this thing where like you can camp in any car. Like if you go to TikTok and put in van life, you're going to see all kinds of different cars.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Now people can just get their Brio, get their moonshade, get a tent, and they're ready to go. You know what I mean? Like I think that, and that's, I also think with Moon, I think that like, um, you know, we definitely are building like our website, I think will be pretty well set up to sell other products. I don't know if it'll be next season, but like I think we could sell a lot of Brios. Like I think you guys, it's not going to be a function of like if you've made the right product for the right market. It's more just time and like what it and how those dominoes fall and just being patient and
Mm.
being smart to sort of get to that, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you, man. And yeah, I don't think we're in any rush either. Like I think I kind of want to start small with a
I
small,
hear that. Yeah.
and I want to make sure that we continue to improve the production process, improve the product a little bit more, and in the next couple months and beyond that, and continue to innovate. And there'll come a time when we're ready for greater mass production, and it might be in a year, and it might be in 2 years, and we'll see where we end up with that. And
I mean,
we're
that's kind of the crazy thing with China, right? Is it's like you can produce like our factory because we're talking to two huge retailers right now, and both basically asked us what our production capacity was.
Mhm.
And so, but like we produce with a factory that produces like most of the world's tents, you know? So it's like, it is kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm excited for you guys just to learn. And like, I would just say the people that get it, like the people, like lean into the people that are like, I'm not just saying that because I'm like, yeah, trust me, because I get it. No, but like the other, especially creators, like just the people that really respond to this thing, like it means a lot to people, even if you just send them a DM back, send them an email, like call them on the phone. Like that's like that would be my greatest marketing advice is like find your 200, you know, find the people that represent these different communities, but like you guys are on your way.
Mm. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys' time, man.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Love it. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I was gonna do a plug for the Kickstarter, but realizing that this podcast won't come out until way after.
No, and I'll
So,
do like I think
never
what I'll
mind.
do is I'm gonna edit this into like a blog post where we get into some existential stuff, but it's probably just mostly the details of like the Kickstarter and the product and basically us being like, hey, these guys are rad, check them out.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's the other crazy shit with like, as someone who loves doing interviews, like just AI being able to like transcribe and
Yeah.
it just makes all that stuff so easy. But yeah, I'll if I need any like photos or anything from you guys, I'll let you know. But you know, good luck as you wrap up the campaign. And whenever we get this scheduled and stuff, I'll let you know. But I'm thinking we'll just do it probably the day you guys launch would be my guess. The day you launch, we'll do like check out Brio, read more about their story here or whatever. Cool.
Sweet.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
definitely.
Yeah, and for your data guy, I think we have like 25,000 email subscribers or something like that. So
Great.
Crazy.
hopefully it'll
Great
be a good
audience,
little
Yeah,
hopefully we'll help you sell some brios. But
yeah,
Yeah.
I will for
yeah,
sure.
guys,
Yeah. Well, appreciate
we'll
it. Great questions. Great format.
Yeah.
it was cool. Like, yeah, like this wasn't weird. You guys weren't like, oh, this sucks.
No, this is
This is
fun.
great. Well, it
Yeah.
helps that we're so aligned on the general interest. Like this
Mhm.
is what we all love to do, and so that comes at a genuine place, and I think it'll come across really well.
Well, I think that like I mean, I'm thinking everybody else for this first season, they're all people connected to the origin story of Moon, right? So that's like if you see that little, I think Evan, I just
I saw
copy and
your
pasted
video.
you that list.
Yeah.
But like, but yeah, like Trent and Allie are two of the YouTubers that we sent the Moonshade to, and then they ended up becoming investors in Moon. And so they're actually coming through Memphis in a couple weeks, which is where I live. And but yeah, I'm kind of thinking I would open the season with you guys as sort of a reflection back on when we launched our Kickstarter.
Hmm.
Because that's what was, I mean, like that's our story is like we launched on Kickstarter, we partnered with some YouTubers,
Mhm.
and that just like right place, right time.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Hope to follow the same journey.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited for you guys' journey, man. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted with the email and stuff. But keep going and can't wait to see it.
Mm.
Nice.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome.
Great thing.
Henry,
All right.
appreciate it.
Oh, and I guess send me the video file for this when you
Yeah,
can,
right.
Evan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. See you guys. Great chatting.
Yeah, Henry. Thanks, brother.